Morning. David, please.
Yeah, just if you could update us on Dak's status, what he'll do today.
I mean, Dak's status is, I would guess, continue to classify it as limited. We'll just continue the throwing regiment and keep building up the volume.
So at this point, with this being the last padded practice, is it fair to say he won't play?
Oh, there's a good chance he probably won't play. Yes, that's fair.
How does that impact your decision on the other guys like Tyron and Zach and whether they would play or not play this week?
You know, really, we can go either way, but, I want to see what we get out of this practice. Frankly, we're going to try. We got this storm coming. It's going to hit. So we're going to try to get out for the first 5 periods, probably maybe only get 3 in. But I'm more worried about the team getting acclimated, and because that, how much work we get done during the course of the week factors in those numbers too.
How much latitude do you give veterans in that situation, saying that, well, I do just want to get out there for one, or do you always override that, or how much do you take their input?
I think a lot of those decisions are, probably where you are, particularly in relationships. This is our first year going through this with the players, particularly the veteran players. So, but yeah, I think we're all on the same page, as far as how much, where we think each guy is. We handle all these situations individually.
There are some of your colleagues who don't play guys in the preseason. Sean McVay is one of them. What's your sense of that? Do you prefer to have guys that get at least a little action?
I think it's where you are as a football team. I think you got to trust your training process. I'm a huge believer in, this process starts back in April. It doesn't start once you get to training camp. There's a reason why we practice. There's a reason why we want everybody here and meet and, all those things. So it's like I said, you look at it's a team decision. I know there's some people have a general philosophy, don't play guys in the preseason. I've never done that, but I think as you tend to grow with the team and you're around, I'm just going back through my career, being in one place for 13 years, it's obviously was a lot different in years 1 through 4 than it was 9 through 13. So I think that's all part of the decision making.
Do you look at quarterbacks a little differently because of the pounding they take? Like,
say it again. I didn't hear the first part.
Quarterbacks a little differently because of the pounding they take. That maybe, like in Zeke's instance, he might not play this.
Did you say the quarterbacks?
Running backs.
Running backs?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think if you look at Zeke's, full body of work, you have to take that into account. History would definitely support those decisions. The volume of a runner in this league, the number of hits that they take, that's definitely all noted.
I know at the start of training camp, you stressed that you wanted Dak to get some time in the preseason. Clearly, injuries changed that. But any concern about the offense and Dak not really being able to be on the field together before the start of the season?
Well, I think you have to point to your practice environment there. But yeah, I think if things don't go the way it's happened, I've experienced it. Offense started slow. Quarterback didn't take any live reps. Criticism was applied. That's all, to me, that's all part of the process of that's our business. It doesn't matter if he played or didn't play in the preseason. If it doesn't go well early, criticism is going to come. But at the end of the day, I trust the practice process. I really do. I think. I've been in the league a while. I've worked in other organizations. We do things the right way. The tempo of how we practice, the cadence variations, and the emphasis and the game situations. So, I feel really good about what we're able to get done in this environment, as opposed to relying on the preseason games. I always felt the preseason games were primarily for the development of your young players. I do know this is our first year going through the training camp. I think ideally, if everybody was healthy and everything went smooth, we may have gone to a more traditional, play 10, 15 plays in the first game, played a quarter in the second game, played the first half in the third game. Those things were all discussed, but camp doesn't always go the way you like it to go.
Mike, could you update us on the status with the kid coming in for a workout? Has that already taken place, and do you expect a roster move?
Yes, yeah, it's in process. So when we get finalized, obviously we'll get that to you. So, and there will be a roster move.
Last preseason game has always been on a Thursday, and we play whenever.
Wish it still was. If you can get that changed, yeah.
Okay, so now this is a little different.
you guys are different than the rest of the league because now you play on the Thursday after a Sunday.
Yeah.
But does any of that change anything, having a little more to the 2-week side of things than in the past?
Well, this is obviously the first year. I was, I get my political correct verbiage here in line. I was expecting more out of the free week than actually is available. So, because, there's a mandatory number of days off. So I like it. I like the fact that you have 2 weeks to get ready for the first game. I'm definitely in favor of it. But coming out of a Sunday preseason game, as opposed to hopefully a Friday, Saturday, and then going into the Thursday game, there's, you're not going to have the same amount of time as your opponent. So, I mean, it's, those are things that are stating the obvious. But, you'd like to have the same amount of time playing in that early game that the other teams do.
How did Amari fare in his first practice fully back on Monday?
Amari came out clean, which is good. And, this will be a big step for him today. He'll take a little more. So, so far, so good. Very pleased with the work he had.
You talked yesterday about how sometimes his personality and being an introvert can be misconstrued for not having the fire. What have you learned about his personality since you got here and how you, I guess, assess guys' reactions differently on a case by case?
I think it's like that with everybody. So I think we're all different. I think sometimes it takes longer to get to know certain guys. So, I think at the end of the day, I mean, he's, very cerebral. He's really into his craft, and I think what he's done, through this injury, it would be definitely the best thing for him moving forward. His weight's down. Not that it was an issue, but, I think this training and going through this will definitely help him in the long term.
Is he different personality-wise than other receivers you've been around? Obviously, you're around Joe Horn and guys like that.
Well, he's not Joe Horn. I think we can all recognize that. He doesn't carry a cell phone underneath the telephone, or not a telephone. Well, enough of that. But we're all different. Yeah. So I mean, I get it. So, but in the day, he's very gifted, and it's great to see him back out there.
Back to the kicker for a second. Back to the kicker.
Yeah.
Is Zerline on target or did
yes. Yeah. Zerline's on target. Yes.
About why bring
We have Hunter's having an issue, and when we get that finalized, we'll get that to you. Okay.
You mentioned Amari being cerebral. How much does that help that room as a whole? I know CD talked to us about how during practice yesterday he was having Amari taken through a release.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the most experienced receiver in the room, and experience is something you can't have enough of. I think anytime as a coach, when you're echoing a message, a technique, a teaching progression, it's obviously the starting point and the structure. But when the veteran speaks on it and gives more insight, it carries a lot of weight. So I mean, it's definitely a big part of any position room, and always encourage those veterans to speak up and because I think I've spoken on this continuously here. You're always trying to bridge the gap between your younger players and older players, and this is all part of that process.
Mike, do you anticipate having McGovern take any snaps at center just to analyze your depth there in the next couple of weeks?
Not this week. No, that's we want to continue with Connor and Tyler, and so keep working Matt in there.
Your F last year line from Hard Knocks, that's probably going to be one of the enduring sound bites. I know you guys as coaches and players live in the world of last year's, this year's.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any kind of a rallying cry, though, a little bit different, just based on the way last year went as you guys go into this?
I apologize. I didn't hear the first part of the question.
The F last year line that you had from Hard Knocks.
Okay.
He didn't want to cuss.
I don't want to say.
Yeah. Well, I don't recommend it. My mother wasn't in favor of it either, too.
The bleep last year line. I know you guys as players and coaches don't live in that world of dwelling on last year, but is it a little different just based on what last year was as kind of a rallying cry for this group?
Yeah, I definitely. I'm trying to remember the exact application of this of the comment. Whether it was the Arizona game or
in front of the team.
Before the preseason game.
Well, unfortunately, I use more than one F in front of the team. I'm trying to cut them down. What?
We're just narrowing it down to one.
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime things like that happen, obviously there's a message there. Last year you do reference some things. I mean, there's some things that are factual that we need to improve on, and so yeah, you bring that up, but. also, I talk in them terms a lot of the improvements we've made. I think our game situation, progression has been encouraging. And that's something we definitely felt like we needed more experience and more reps at, and and you're starting to see it come to light. I really would have loved to see us, win that game at the end, because it's obviously when you have the ultimate is when you have it carry over to the game time, then that's what you're looking for. So, but we're making progress.
What kind of feedback? When we're watching Hard Knocks, or even when we just watch you interact with the team, when you give a presentation like that, or a mini speech, or a pep talk, or whatever, how much of it is crafted, and how much of it is, kind of like you got a filing cabinet full of them, and how much of it is off the cuff?
I take the outline approach, so I would say it'd probably be more, I don't say off the cuff. I've been fortunate to do it long enough. I don't have a bunch of canned speeches. I've never done it that way. I think every day in this league's different. I think every week is different, and I think every opportunity is different. Now the concept or the topic or the theme that you're talking on, yeah, you're similar because that's football. Different, adversity comes up all the time. Confidence comes up all the time. But I think to make it specific to that team and that situation, it needs to be original. It needs to be genuine, and that's just the way I've always tried to go about it.
What kind of feedback have you gotten about the first 2 episodes, like from family or friends? Anybody said anything to you about it?
I was kidding about my mother. She wasn't real kicked in the bum about the first one. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been positive. I think it's anytime you can see your team from a different light, people enjoy that.
How difficult is it to evaluate Malik Hooker? He's only practiced the one time, and where he is versus where he's been and what he's been?
Oh man, it's a great question, and that's frankly what we're still trying to evaluate. I think just because of the time, the timeline of when he arrived, where he was, and just the path that the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff put on him, and particularly and being a veteran and the extent of the injury, we're trying to get as much information in a timely fashion because we don't want to rush that. So, and that's why you see us going the way it's going, because we all recognize the type of player and his ability that he showed in Indianapolis, but we're just trying to give him the similar to Dak in some sense. You just want to make sure you're not going too fast there.
With Dak, though, you have a background of a full year with him, and there's a background of Dak starting. For this guy, you've not been around him, so is it harder to? Oh,
definitely. No, yeah. Absolutely, and that's why I think there's even more, more focus on trying to avoid the setback. So and he's a veteran player, and he knows it. And like all these athletes, they know their body best, and and I think you learn a lot about each and every player in their individual interaction, with your strength and conditioning staff, your training staff, and I trust those guys. You have to trust those guys. They're experts at what they do, and they work with the players more than anybody in the building.
So in one of the episodes, they got you talking to Jerry about how it was impressive that Dak pulled himself out, or told you that something with the shoulder. How much do you talk to the team about that? Like, don't try and be the hero here. Let us know if something's wrong. And then how much has that changed from maybe when you first entered the NFL?
I think just the way you set up your, the structure of how you go about it. I mean, the fact that you have a rest and recovery component in your, into your schedule, I think shows the focus and once again highlights the relationship that the players have with the trainers, with the strength and conditioning staff, and really how in tune these guys are with their body. I mean, they do a lot of outsourcing, as far as what they need to advance themselves in that area, and you have to trust that process. So, I mean, I don't stand in front of the team, give speeches about pulling yourself out when you feel an injury. That's not the. I think this is really the product of the modern day athlete and just how in tune they are, and just the, the training regiments of a Dak Prescott. If anything, overtraining is something you have to be very conscious of, which was not the case 15, 20 years ago, for the whole team. So I think it's just more the awareness of the individuals.
Malik Hooker, subject with him again. He's only been a starter in the NFL. He's never played really special teams at all. So if he's not a starter here week one, is it a challenge to assess what you can get out of him? Because if you're a backup safety, you need to play special teams.
Well, I mean, that's obviously all part of the conversations. When an individual like Malik is in that situation, I mean, he understands the opportunities in front of him. He understands the path that he needs to take to be on the football team. So, I mean, we all know where he was drafted. We clearly understand the type of athlete and player that he can be. But he's progressing back from major surgery and a major injury. So, I mean, that's just part of his new, this new opportunity in his career.
He came out of practice, okay?
Yes.
Do you anticipate, will he be able to give you something on Saturday?
Look to hopefully give more today. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid the question. I mean, I've just done this long enough that until you get past this padded practice, this is technically a Thursday in the normal flow of a week, and we'll meet tonight. I'll meet tonight with the coordinators, and then we'll go through it as a staff in the morning. So, but I would like to continue to see him, move forward and hopefully get some plays, Saturday against the Texans.
Rico Dowdle, I haven't really seen much of him in pass protection last season as a rookie. How would you assess that area of his game, which is obviously important?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Pass protection for Rico Dowdle.
Oh, Rico? Yeah, I think Rico's improved all the way through. I think you saw the instinctive running ability last year, the big kickoff return, just a few opportunities that he had, but the pass protection, and I think he's doing a better job out of the backfield as a receiver too. So I think Rico's improved in all three areas, and I think at the end of this season we'll definitely put him in the category as a young man that took the second-year jump.
You use the word play style quite a bit. How do you define that to your players when you're talking about play style?
On camera, off camera there.
Off camera.
No, I think everybody wants to play the game of football the right way, and but it's part of your identity. I think play style is a big part of the personality of each and every football team. A big component of play style is the finish. And to me, every football play is broken down into three areas. There's the pre-snap, then there's the 2.3, and then there's the above the 2.3. If you just ever put a clock to a football play, today's NFL, and it's the hardest area for a young player to hardest threshold to get over is the pre-snap, because the quarterback, the quarterback play at the pre-snap, starting with Peyton Manning and just, all these guys have done such a great job with the up-tempo, off-tempo. I know Green Bay, we use 9 cadences at a regular basis, and so we're building to that too. But it's just such a different game than these young guys have experienced at the college level. So, so that's part of the play style, playing the right way through all three of those phases. And if you just put a watch on it and hit at 2.3, really the schematic formation of each play, whether it's the defensive call and the offensive call, is usually established at the 2.3 seconds. And then really the big money is above 2.3. If the offense can extend the play above 2.3, now you're in a play extension area where the opportunity for big plays increase. So that's why we train so much what we refer to as above the 2.3, because we still want to be able to make those big plays above 2.3 seconds, and with that comes the second component of the play style definition. It's we refer to as championship conditioning. So and that's why we practice. That's why we're going to get out here today, and hopefully it's humid as hell, because we need to transition from California into this weather, get ready for Tampa. So all these things are taken into account when you're putting together a training regimen for your football team.
How does Ralston stack up on your list?
Brad, after that answer, I thought you'd say, hey, why don't you just take it in, Mike? No? No?
Won't be the last time I disappoint you.
All right.
How does Ralston stack up on your list of characteristics for a fullback?
Say it again.
How does Ralston stack up on your list of characteristics?
Took a big jump in the last game. You got to be excited about what he did. I think like any young guy, when you see him jump out there and make a play on kickoff cover, and did a really good job. We haven't done a bunch of lead blocking since I've been here, so we refer to it as phone booth football, and so I thought he did a nice job in his opportunities, and he'll definitely get some more opportunities this week.
Mike, you mentioned how some of the final practices in Oxnard you felt like were a little sloppy. Going back to those 3 phases, how did you feel like this for Monday's practice a couple days ago fared, and what do you want to see today?
No, I really like the situational work, and really I like the situations that were created in the night practice. We went through, I think I had a 20-play script in the team meeting, and I want to say we probably had 9 different game situations come up, just throughout, organically throughout the practice. It wasn't scripted. We didn't have to, have a church clock or, we scripted the 3 last plays of the game there. So I really like that because you just can't get enough of that. So I like that part of it. And it was a competitive practice. So it was Dan was reviewing calls that he needed. Kellen reviewed a number of different things. We hit on some big plays offensively. So, and these are things that Kellen had gone back and through the first 8 installs we want to hit. We're going to do it again next week. So I was very, very pleased with that. Yesterday was, just jogged through, so not a real great. This is an important practice for us. So, because we do need to transition. Because I haven't been through this in a while, but I know back in the early days in Kansas City, you go to River Falls, Wisconsin, you get back into the heat. It takes a little while, and we all understand. We open up in Tampa, and we could catch a hot, muggy night there. So I just want to make sure we get some opportunities, which we will, to get out there and practice in this weather.
Thank you.